And we have some ordered pairs here. So we'll make some up where we have -3, comma 2, -1, 1, 2, 1. Then we'll come down here to something like that. Let's go down this far. Let's go to 4, comma -2. So what I saw in your worksheet is they would give you a f of x with some ordered pairs like -3, comma 2, -1, comma 1, 2, comma 1, and like 4, comma -2. And then they would give you a new function. They would tell you that g of x is like -3 f 1/2 x minus 2, something like that. Does that look kind of like what you're seeing in class?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have to figure out what does each thing do. And then, domain, range, zeros, I guess, stuff like that. So do you want to do everything or just transformations? What's kind of like, should we figure out the domain of the original? I guess go through that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the domain of the original, it's the leftmost x value, right? So that's -3 to the rightmost x value, which is 4.
Okay.
So it's think of it as left to right. The range, oops, I'm sorry. I didn't, this is not how you're doing it in class. Sorry, so you're doing set builder notation. So let me do that. It's x such that x is an element of the real numbers, comma, and then -3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 4. So that's like the left x and then the right.
Okay.
And then you're supposed to put it in these curly braces. Good enough. Okay, now your range, it's y such that y is an element of the real numbers. This time you're going from small to large or bottom to top, whatever kind of you like, but it's like, what's the smallest y value? So the smallest y value is -2. And the largest y value is, looks like it's +2. Okay, so a zero is where it crosses the x-axis. So you're trying to like visually look like, where does it cross the x-axis? It's right there. I didn't make it a nice point, but it's just assume it's kind of halfway through there, since we don't know any better. And we'll say 2.5, comma 0, something like that. So that point right there. And then the y, so and again, that's where it crosses the x-axis. Or could touch as well. That would be okay. Okay, and then y-intercept. So that's where you hit the y-axis. So right there, what's the point there? Can you see that?
0, 1.
0, 1. Perfect. 0, comma 1. So then the next one, and I have a limited screen here, of course, so we have to keep scrolling, but it's where is it increasing, decreasing, and constant. So increasing means going up and to the right. Decreasing is down and to the right. Okay, and constant is horizontal. And hopefully this is all like things you've heard before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first place is it's decreasing. It's decreasing here, and it's always the x value. So what are the x values? So it goes from -3 to -1. So that's where it's decreasing. But then it's also decreasing from 2 to 4 because it's going down.
Mm-hmm.
So we include those. Oops, I put these in the wrong spots. I'm so sorry. So the decreasing is here. Increasing, it is not increasing. There's nowhere, none. Because there's nowhere in the graph where it's going up and to the right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's constant from -1 to 2. All right, now your instructor is asking about end behavior. There really is not end behavior in the traditional sense. Are they asking like what values does it approach at the end?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So like traditionally, you would say something. I'll just write it over here and copy it down. You would say as x approaches 4, f of x approaches -2. That point there. So as x approaches 4, f of x. So here you put the x value, here you put the y value.
Okay.
That's kind of the traditional way to do it. And then you go the other direction. As x approaches -3, f of x approaches, what is it? It's y value 2.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's end behavior. And it looked like in the thing you sent me, like you just put the ordered pairs at the end, but you're really supposed to give like sort of this language. But I'm not sure what your instructor is doing with that. So is that okay? I mean, is that clear? This kind of
Yeah.
right. All right. So the next thing is like, what does this do? So I'm gonna bring this down. I don't have all the space. Oops. There it is. So this does 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 things. Depends on how you do this. So the first one is this this x minus 2. What does that do? Shifts. Do you remember? Does that left or right?
Right.
Right 2. Okay. And what I sometimes do is put the like whether it affects the x or the y over here, and you basically add 2 to the x values.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What does this 1/2 do? Do you remember from class?
It's, oh my gosh, I don't remember.
Okay, so it's a horizontal because it's inside. If it's inside parentheses, it's a horizontal stretch. But this is very important. It's the stretch amount is 1 over whatever that number is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's 2. And this affects the x value. And you end up multiplying it by 2, not 1/2.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that from class? Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
It's not 1/2 of x because that ends up like doing other things that and that has to be very clear. It's always 1 over this value here. The 3 right here is a vertical stretch by 3. So it's by that number. It affects the y value and you multiply by 3.
Okay.
The negative is a reflection over the x-axis. And that affects the y and you just negate it.
Okay.
So the way I've done it here may be different than what you've seen in class, but it's kind of the one that you'll find that is very helpful. So let's try to work through that here. So the first thing you do is you take your x value and you add 2 to it. So you take this -3 and add 2 to it, which makes it -1, but you then have to multiply it by 2. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes -2. this y value, you first multiply it by 3 and then negate it. So that becomes -6.
Okay.
Okay, so here again, so the order is you add 2 to it, the x value, and then double it. So -1 plus 2 is 1. You double it to get 2. The y value, you multiply by 3 and then negate it. And
Okay.
that's why this up top right is so important. Like if you know what each one does and like which variable it affects, it really helps do that. So 2, you add 2 to it, so that's 4, and then you multiply by 2, so that becomes 8, comma, and then you have this 1, which you multiply by 3 and then negate, so -3.
Okay.
Then go to 4 here. So 4, you add 2 to it, so that's 6, and then you multiply by 2, so that's 12, comma, and then this one you multiply by -3 or times 3 negate it, so it ends up being 6.
Okay.
So let me go back and grab the original. Oops. And then hopefully I can snip it in a way where we can put the new points on here. So let's see if I can get this somewhat close to there. Okay, so that's reasonably close. So let me go and grab a different color. The red here. I'm sorry for red. I know it's not great. -2, -6. So we got to go down 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then 2, -3. So that's here. So this little segment here is what transformed into this little segment there.
Okay.
And then 8, -3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's this little segment.
Mhm.
And then 12, 6. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then that last segment from here. So this
Okay.
is 12. So like, is it reasonable? Like, did the original graph shift right? Did this thing shift to the right? Sure did. Did it stretch horizontally by a factor of 2? Like, is it wider? Yes, it is. Is it scaled vertically by 3? Like, is there more like height to it now? Yes. And then is it flipped over the x-axis? Yes. So that answers like it follows what it said. Okay, so same set of questions now, right? Domain, range, intercepts, and stuff like that. So let's put the domain here. What is the leftmost x value?
-2.
So it's x such that x is an element of the real numbers. -2 less than or equal to x less than or equal to. What's the biggest x value over here?
12.
12. So your range is y such that y is an element of the real numbers. What's the smallest y value? What's the greatest y value?
-6 and 6.
Yeah. Oops. -6 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 6. Okay. And then the next one it asks for are the zeros. So the 0, there's a 0 right here. Looks like it should have gone right through that point. So whatever that is, looks like it's 9, 0. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, which is about there. So -1, 2, 3, 4, -4.5. So now, where is it increasing? What are the x values associated with that?
8 or -2 and 2.
Good. And then the next one, these right here, it's increasing. What are the x values there? So
8 and 12.
8 and 12. Okay, and then is it decreasing anywhere? Is there anywhere that's going down into the red? We're looking at the red now.
No.
Nowhere, none. And where's a constant?
2, 8.
2 to 8, very good. Okay, so the end behavior now. So this is one of the end behavior points. So as x approaches, what's the x value here?
-2.
F of x, well now it's g of x because we changed it. G of x approaches, what's the y value here?
-6.
-6. And then we do the same thing up here at this point. Okay, so it's as x approaches 12, g of x approaches 6.
Mhm.
Okay, so how was that for you?
That was helpful. I think where I get confused is doing the transformations from
Yes.
f of x to g to x.
I assumed as much. We're gonna do some problems like that now to really help work this out. So let's say I'm gonna give you an f of x and g of x is gonna be negative f of, and we're gonna do these because they're the most difficult. 1/3 x plus 1. All right, so I'm just gonna give you a standard set here of like -1, 0. Let's just make it -4, -3, 4, 1, 2, and then 5, 6. Okay.
Okay.
So the key here really is to know what does each of these do and the order. So this is your first one to do. So what does x plus 1 do?
A shift to the left of 1.
Good. And does that affect the x or the y value?
The x.
X only, right? So we're going to
Yeah.
show left 1 by each of these. So that's -5, -4, so I'm going left 1, so 0, 2, and then 4, 6. Okay, so we've taken that, we've accounted for that. Now we're going to count for the 1/3, and this is the most difficult one because it's the thing that you do is 1 over whatever that number is. So what is 1 over 1/3?
3.
3. And this is a stretch horizontally, so it affects the x value. So you multiply the x's by
3.
3. So that becomes -15, 0. Notice the y's are staying the same. 0 times 3 is 0. Again, the y's stay the same, 12, 6. Now the last one, what does the negative do? It affects the y value. So you negate the y's. So the x's stay the same, but the y's become negative.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you saw it in the class, but if you do it this way, where you do 1 at a time, you'll have a little more chance of success on
Okay.
this. So let's try another one. Were you able to get all this down or at least follow
Yeah.
what I was doing? Okay, so let's try another one here. So here's f of x. G of x is -3 f of 1/2 x plus 2. Okay, so let's see here. -3, -4, -1, 2, 3, 3, and 4, 7. So we're going to do these just one at a time. Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna tell me the values this time. So x plus 2 is left or right how many?
Left 2.
Does that affect the x or the y?
the x.
So tell me what happens with the x values when you move it left. Is it like adding or subtracting?
You add them.
So if I add a number to x, like here's negative 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I add a number to x, like 1, and get negative 2, 4, I'm here. Do you see how that moved right?
Oh, so subtract.
Yes. And sometimes you got to see that to be like, oh, I get it now. Okay. So you're going to subtract 2. So you're going to subtract 2 here. So tell me what does negative 3 change to when you subtract 2?
-5.
Okay, and the y values stay the same. So how about this next one?
-3, 2.
Okay, good. And then this one,
1, 3.
good. And then the last one,
2, 7.
good. So now this is again probably the most difficult one. Whatever you do here, it's 1 over whatever that is. That's why it's usually a fraction, because then it becomes a 2. So you're going to show multiplication by 2. But if it's inside, it affects the x. If it's outside, it affects the y.
Okay. So it affects the x.
This one affects the x. Yeah, you multiply it by 2. So only the x value though.
So the first one is -10, -4.
Good. Okay, and then the last one or the next one.
-6, 2.
Good. And then the next one
2, 3.
and the last one.
4, 7.
Good. Now this -3, it affects the y value. And you can actually do it all at once. It's multiply by 3 and then negate, or you can just multiply by -3. But it affects the y value because it's on the outside. So in short, you're just multiplying this number by -3, this number by -3, and so on. So what would this first point be? -10, comma
12.
12, and then -6, comma
-6.
good, 2, comma
-9.
good, and then 4, comma
-21.
good. Excellent. Okay, so let's try another one here. All right, so I'm going to give you an f of x. This time we're going to do a couple of different things. It's going to be f of 2 x minus 3 plus 4. So I'll give you some points here. -8, comma -6, -4, comma -2, 0, comma 3, and 6, comma 5.
Okay.
And again, you just want to tackle them one at a time, like x minus 3, then the 2, then the plus 4. So we're gonna have 3 columns here when we're done. Now, eventually you'll be able to do this without the columns, but this is a really good way to do it kind of systematically so that you get the right answer. So what does this x minus 3 do? Is it left or right?
Right 3.
Right 3. And does that affect x or y?
X.
Okay, so you're going to add 3 to each of these x's. Actually, I messed this up. Let me change this. I'm so sorry. Let's do 2. I messed this up. So we're going to go right 2.
Okay. So -6, -6.
Yeah, so it's -6, comma -6, and then -2, comma
-2.
right, 2, comma 3, and then 8 comma 5. So this 2 here, even if it's, so it's always 1 over whatever that number is, which is 2.
All right.
So now you're going to take half of the x values. So half
Okay.
of this x value, half, half, half.
-3, -6,
Good.
-1, -2,
Very good.
1, 3,
Okay. And the
and then
last one.
4, 5.
Excellent. And then this one we haven't done yet. This affects the y. This is going to be up 4. So
Okay.
the y values all go up by 4. So give me the new ordered pairs here.
-3, -2,
Good.
-1 and 2,
Good.
and then 1, 7,
Good.
and then 4, 9.
Excellent. Okay. So do you have some paper with you?
Mhm.
Okay. What I want to do is give you a one for you to try, and you're welcome to make the table. You can also just go to the final. I won't make it any harder or easier than ones we just did. It'll be about the same. So g of x equals negative f of 1/3 x minus 2 plus 1. And I'll give you some points here. So we'll start with -2, 3, -1, 1, and then 2 comma 4, and then 5 comma 2. So take a few minutes, and I can fill in the intermediate ones if you want, but I can also just give you the final column when you're all done. So I'll check back with you in a couple minutes, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, how are you doing on this one?
Good. I'm almost done.
Okay, I'm going to just show you that there's actually 4 things happening here. Would you like me to fill in the last column or the intermediate columns? What would be best for you?
The last column, please.
Okay, so I do the things that affect the x together. So I add 2 and multiply by 3. So that gives me 0 here. Add 2 to -1 is 1, multiply by 3 is 3. 2 gives me 4 and 12, and then 7 and I'm sorry, did I? Yeah, by 3, right? Yes. And so 21. How are these looking for you?
That's what I got.
Excellent. This is a certain order. You have to negate first, then add 4. Like the order matters. So -3 plus 1 is -2. -1 plus 1 is 0. -4 plus 1 is -3. -2 plus 1 is -1. How did you do on that?
That's what I got.
Yes, excellent. Okay. Would you like another one?
Yes, please.
Okay. So here's f of x. This time we'll make it a little bit harder. G of x equals -2 f of 3 x plus 1, like this. And let me give you some ordered pairs here. -8 comma -2, -5 comma 3. Move that one up. That's a little too much room. And then 1 comma 1, 4 comma -4. Okay, let's take a couple minutes here and see if you can get this down. Do you need another minute or two, or how are you doing on that?
I am almost done.
Great. So this one actually has 3 transformations, maybe 4 if you, depending on how you want to handle that.
Okay.
All right, so let me write out the x values first. You're going left 1, so you're subtracting 1 from all of these, and then you're dividing by 3. Like I know it's so this shows multiply, but you always do the reciprocal of it. So that gives you -3. This becomes -6 divided by 2, -2. This is 0, you go left, and then it becomes 0 when you divide, and then 4 goes to 1. How are those x values looking for you?
That's what I got.
Excellent. And then you just multiply by -2. Now, if I had added something out here, you would multiply by this number first and then add or subtract. Let's just multiply by -2. 4, -6, -2, and 8. Is that what you got?
Yes.
Great. Well, I think you understand this. Is there something I haven't covered in these that you're still unsure about? Because there's left and right, stretching, horizontal and vertical. I suppose I haven't covered a internal horizontal flip.
Mhm.
I didn't see any of those in your assignment. Let me go back and look. I didn't see anything there. I mean, you just want more examples or more? Do you want us to do more problems for the rest of the time?
Yes. And if we could also do some of the like domain and range stuff from the beginning, that'd be great too.
Okay. So with that here, like you're gonna want to graph these. Like I don't even know what these look like, but let's we would have to graph these. So let
Oh,
me
okay.
let me do this. Let me just graph these and snip it in, and we'll just talk about it on the graph. I think that'll be easiest. -8, -2.
Okay.
I apologize if you can hear some of that background noise. If it's an issue, let me know.
Oh, it's okay. I don't hear anything.
Oh, good, good. All right, so let's go look at the original here. And I got to connect these dots. Let's see if I can do this nicely. You'll get nice numbers on your exam. I mean, these are just me making them up. Okay, so what is your domain here? What is the most left x value and the most right x value?
-8 and 4.
So you always put this in an inequality, and then in curly braces like that. Are you comfortable writing that down?
Mhm.
Okay. There's almost nothing I can do to like make that easier, so I'm glad you understand. You always do this y element of the real numbers. Y is also an inequality. So what is the minimum value? What's the maximum value of y?
3 and -4.
So the -4 is the minimum and 3 is the maximum. It has to be, min to max.
Okay.
If it's not, you'll be marked off for that. Okay. Does this have an x-intercept? Looks like right there. Now this one isn't graphed well because that's at 1. So that's 1.5 comma 0.
Okay.
How about a y-intercept? So right there, I mean, roughly, that's 1, that's 1.5, maybe like 1.3.
Okay.
It should be clear
Yeah.
on your actual one. Okay, this is most important though. So where is this thing increasing? Where is it decreasing? And where is it constant?
Increasing -8, -5.
Very good. It's going up and to the right.
Decreasing would be -5, 1,
Okay, and then down
1,
this.
4.
Perfect. Is it constant anywhere?
No.
I agree. So nowhere. Okay, so now let's do the same thing for the inverted one. Let me graph those. Actually, let me just change the graph here. So what I'm hoping you're even thinking is, man, this is pretty easy. Like once you know how to do each of the steps, it's just more about doing it and less about, like, there's not a lot of computations. You just get it.
Yeah.
How is physics going for you?
It's going pretty well. We haven't done that much recently, but we've been doing Newton's laws right now.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's look at this next one. It's shrunk pretty, it's squeezed in pretty bad here. So this goes down, then it goes up, and then it goes up again. So what's the domain on this one?
The domain is -3, and then is it 1?
It is 1, yeah.
Okay.
How about the range? And again, it's supposed to be -3 less or equal to x less or equal to 1. Okay. Same thing with the y. What's the y?
-6, 8.
Very good. And then x-intercept. And so it's right there. I mean, I don't want to get caught up on that. You just have to estimate that point, 0.1, 0. How about the y-intercept? That one actually is a perfect, nice point.
0, -2.
Perfect. Now, most importantly, where is it increasing? Where is it decreasing? And where is it constant?
It increases -2, 0, and 0, 1.
Yes, and it's always the x values for these. Okay, how about decreases?
Decreasing is -3, -2.
Perfect. Is it constant anywhere?
No.
That's the horizontal. Excellent. Okay. Oh, we did not do end behavior. Let's go back up to this one to do end behavior. So it's so this one right here, it's as x approaches -8, and then as x approaches 4. So it's the x values, and then these are the y values. So as x approaches -8, what is the y value?
-2 and
Negative.
-4.
Very good. Okay. So down here, are you comfortable writing those? So it's whatever the leftmost one is, and then whatever the rightmost one is.
-3 and 1.
Right. So as x approaches -3, g of x approaches 4. See how it's this ordered pair goes in here. And then same thing here, as x approaches 1, g of x approaches 8. And
Okay.
the reason I use g of x is because ooh, I lost my range. The reason I do that is because this is g of x, this one, and the other one was f of x, because you made the changes to it. Right, one was f of x and one was g of x. Okay, let's just try one more transformation. In addition, I guess I haven't been emphasizing this, but you may need to write out what they actually are, up, down, left, right. So let's get that list here. So g of x is negative f 1/2 x minus 1 plus 3. Okay, and let me give you some ordered pairs here. But first, let's get the transformations here. What are the 1, 2, 3, 4 transformations?
Okay, so the first one is right 1.
Okay, right 1. Good.
The second one is times 2.
So we want to say a horizontal stretch
Yeah.
by 2.
Okay.
And then this negative here.
That is the
That's this one right here, this negative out in the front. It's a reflection over the x-axis. And then how about this plus 3?
a vertical shift
Very good.
up 3.
Vertical shift up 3. Perfect. Okay, so see if you can transform these ordered pairs here, and that'll probably close out our lesson for tonight.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to just write out the answers. You can keep working on this if you need to. And 8. All right, there you are. Anything on this unclear?
Not really.
Okay. Well, I think that's it for tonight. Thanks again for scheduling. Sorry for the issues. It looked like you were scheduling at a different time zone, which is obviously no problem at all. But do you remember what the original time you scheduled for was?
I think it was 8.
8 Arizona time? Or 8,
Yes,
whatever time zone you're in.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Let him know
Alright.
that you're from Arizona. He's asking.
Okay.
Well, thanks again. I'll send you the notes and the screen recording out shortly. And
Okay,
I'll see you
thank
next
you.
time. You're welcome. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.